In this video, we're going to look at the Python range function and nested loops. We've seen the regular for loop before. In the first instance, we're able to iterate over all of the x and y coordinates in our picture, and in this case, change the value of red for each pixel. We know that we have a list, and in this case, we would print out the number 1. We would print out the word little. We print out the number. We then go back a second time and print out the number 2 and the word little. We then go back a third time and print out the number 3 and the word little. So we did all of the indices, 1, 2, and 3. And lastly, we would print out billy goats. Now the range function returns a list, and the list will be between the first two numbers that have passed to range. So the range function will give us from the number 1 up to, but not including, the number 4. So the list that we will get is 1, 2, and 3. We can start off with a negative number. So range -1 to 3 will give us from -1 through the number 2, 1 less than 3. We never reach the final number. So -1, 0, 1, and 2. If we use the optional third parameter, we then tell it how many to skip by. So we're going to start with the number 1, and we're going to go up to the number 9 by 2s. So we're going to get 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. If you give it only one value, if range is given only one value, it assumes 0. So it's going to be 0, 1, and 2. So it's going to, range will work from, give us a list from the first number up to, but not including the last number. If you leave out the start value, it assumes that the starting point will be 0. So let's give an example. In this case, we know range 1 to 6 is going to give us a list. And that list will be the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So as we go through our loop, the first time through, index will be 1. 6 minus 1 will give us 5 for num, and we'll print out that 5. Then goes, and we're going to get the second number in our list, the number 2. 6 minus 2 is 4, and we'll print out the 4. We then go to the next number in our list, 3. So index is 3. 6 minus 3 is 3, and we'll print out that 3. The next number in the list is 4. So the index is 4. 6 minus 4 is 2. We print out the 2. One more time through the list. Index is 5. 6 minus 5 is 1, and we print out the 1. Since we've exhausted the list, we're done with the for loop. We now go to the print statement, and we print blast off. So you're familiar with this for P and get pixels. It gives us all the pixels in the image. But what happens if we only want a small portion of the image? Let's say that we wanted just to change the red value in this young lady's left eye. If we do for P and get pixels, we're going to change the red value in the whole image. So by using nested loops, we can target a small portion of the image. So here's an example of a nested loop. We have our regular loop, our outer loop for k in range, colon, just like normal. We then put another loop inside of it, but notice that the second loop is indented from the first for j in range 5 to 7, and then print. So for k in range 1 to 4 will give us 1, 2, and 3. For j in range 5 to 7 will give us 5 and 6. We don't get to 4 and we don't get to 7. So the outer loop, we hit the 4, k in range, and k is going to take a value of 1. We get to the inner loop, j. J will start with the number 5. We get to the print statement. 5 and 1 is 6, so we'll print out a 6. We go back and we do j a second time. We're going to have to do it for the 6. So k stays as 1, but j changes to 6. 6 and 1 is 7, so we'll print 7. Since we've exhausted the list here, we now go back to k and we move from 1 to 2. So k now becomes 2. And the second time in, j starts again. J will start with its 5. 5 and 2 is 7. We're getting 5 and 2, so we'll print out 7. We now need to do the second item in our list, the 6. So 5 becomes 6. 6 and 2 is 8, and we print the 8. We're now done with the j loop. And since we haven't exhausted the list in k, we go back to k, and we now use k equal to 3. We go in to j fresh again. We use 5. 5 and 3 is 8. We print out the 8. We now go to the next number in j, which is our 6. So 5 becomes 6. 6 and 3 is 9. So we print out our 9. We once again have exhausted the list for j, and we go back, we look for k. Nope, we've exhausted that list also. We finished our 3. So this function is done. Now in an image, each pixel has an XY location, and we refer to those as the indices of the pixel. Now, if this image is 640 high by 480 wide, we know that the upper left corner is going to be 0, 0. The upper right corner is going to be 479, 0. Why not 480? Well, because there are 480 pixels, and they're numbered from 0 to 479. 0 to 479 gives us 480 pixels. The bottom left is going to be 0, 639. Because our height is 640, and we go from 0 to 639. And the bottom right is going to be 479, 639. So those are the indices of our image. We can use the range function to generate our index numbers. Now, if you remember, range goes from 0 to whatever number we give it less 1. And we want the height to be 1 less. So that works out nicely. We'll have nested loops. One loop for the x-coordinate and one loop for the y-coordinate. To do this, we'll use a pair of ranges in nested loops. We're going to use the outer loop to get the height, and the inner loop to do the width. We have two new functions here. One is get height. And what get height will do is it will return the height of the picture. So it might be 640. And we would use get width to get the width of the picture, 480. Now the range means that we will get a list of the numbers from 0 up to, but not including 640. So it'll go to 639. The width, the range here will go from 0 to 479. And it'll start in the upper left corner. And then we'll go across, ranging our x, our width, from 0 through 479. We'll then go back and we'll do row 2 from 0 to 479, and so on, scanning the image left to right, top to bottom. Let's trace through an example. Very small image. Our width is 3, our height is 2. We're going to have y in range from 0 to get height. Now we know that get height, the height is 2. So our range will be simply 0 and 1. For x, our width is 3. So we're going to have a list here, 0, 1, and 2. And then we will get a pixel with those xy coordinates. And we'll find out the value of the red intensity of that pixel. So let's start off. Get height, we're going to start off with a 0 for our y. So it's going to be 0 and y. Then we do our x, get width. We have our 0 for x. And we're going to look at the pixel in position 0, 0, the top left pixel. We're going to find that pixel, get its information, and then get red. And red on that pixel is going to be 127. We're then going to go to the next item in our list for x. So y will stay 0, but x will become 1. So we're going to go from the upper left pixel to the top row, middle position. We'll get the pixel, and the red value there is going to be 40. We then, in our inner loop here with the x, we'll then move on to 2. Y stays as 0, but x will become 2. So we'll move to the top right pixel. And red here has a value of 50. We've now completed this list, so we're going to go back, and we're going to go from 0 to 1 for y. So y now becomes 1. So we're going to be looking now at the second row. We start our list again with 0. So x is 0, y is 1, will be the bottom left pixel. And our intensity of red is 30. We now move from x of 1, 0 to x of 1. So y has not changed, but x changes to 1. And we're going to look at the bottom middle pixel. And R will be 90. We're now ready to go to the next x pixel, move over 1. Y does not yet change, doesn't change. It stays as 1. X goes to 2. pixel 2, 1 is our bottom right. And the intensity of red goes into value, and that'll be 127. We've now exhausted the items in this list and exhausted the items in that list, so we're done with our looping. Well, that's it for this video. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Come to office hours. Be well.